Hi, welcome to Diaries. My name is Michelle and this is Tia. And on our channel, we talk about real stories about real investors working on real deals.
So today's topic is going to be, what would you do with your time if you had enough passive income to support your lifestyle?
Awesome. I mean,
Yes.
that's really like the goal for a lot of people, right? And so, I mean, like it's more of like the importance of your time, right? Because time is so important, especially as you get older and older. You really value your time, and if you did everything right, and you did your investments right, and especially this is a real estate channel, especially if you had enough rental properties where, okay, you're getting enough passive income where it completely covers your day-to-day expenses on a monthly basis. I like to call it, if it covers your net, if it supports your lifestyle, what will you do with all that extra free time? Because now you don't have to necessarily work actively.
Well, and it also leads to the question of like, what is wealth? Right? And I think, what is rich? And some people think of it as like, okay, a certain dollar amount and that they always have to be making more, right? But like for me, it's like time freedom. Like, how much money do I have to make in order to wake up each day to decide whatever I want to do? Right? And that isn't millions and millions of dollars, right? Just to get to that. Like, a lot of people think it's unobtainable, but it's like with a strategic plan and a few properties, you could be there for most people's, to support most people's basic like lifestyle. Yeah, exactly.
And I think there's a movement. I don't know if you heard of it. It's a movement called FIRE. I think it's something like it's like, don't take my word for it, but it's basically about people who are focused on retiring early and being financially free.
Yes.
Right. And so they make like these like massive sacrifices to live frugally, to save as much money, pay down debt, and invest, so therefore they can retire early. So I mean, like, it's really more on the extreme. So I don't know if I would want to do like an extreme where, okay, I have a family of 6 and we're all living in this small little mobile home. Right. There's going to be definitely some balance there and some sacrifices. But assuming that you live comfortably, you're not making huge uncomfortable sacrifices. It's probably a comfortable monthly expense budget you can put together, right? Okay, and assuming that, and you do right with investments, it's very attainable if you do the right thing.
Especially like if the average person's salary, I mean, I don't know, I'm not like, don't quote me on this, but it's probably somewhere between like, $50,000 or $150,000, right? If you're just replacing your salary, that's only a few properties. Right. If people don't realize that, it's like that could either be supplemental to your career and your job, or that could replace it completely. Right. So if you actually were able to do that, it's like, what would you do with your time? Right.
And I think it's all about your mindset, because a lot of people may not relate to it, but it's actually, I wouldn't say easy, but it's definitely a clear path to be able to, assuming that you kind of were born with nothing, and you worked, and then you bought enough real estate investments where you can make a residual income of $60,000 a year. So it's definitely doable. Like, it's definitely doable if you made the right decisions.
So what would you do if if all of your passive income covered your nut?
Right. Yes, exactly. If all my
covered everything
covered
in your,
my monthly
your monthly expenses.
Yes.
What would you do?
I would say, like, I know for me, I'm not there because my life is a little bit larger, but it's kind of grown. That's the problem, that you fall into the trap of that lifestyle creep, right? The problem with making a lot of money in your job or your business is that as you make more income, now you need a nicer car. Now you need a bigger house. Now you need all of this, and you have that little lifestyle creep. But the good thing is that I'm fairly good with money, and so I definitely live below my means. Like, that's one thing. I definitely live below it. So even though I have a higher income, I definitely live below my means. But I would say that, once I get there, it would have to be, I have my number in mind. It's okay. This is the residual amount that I need to make every month or every year to live my existing lifestyle. Yeah. The great thing about that is that I would definitely pursue something that I'm very, very passionate about. At this point in my life, I feel like, okay, I focus on so much about being a mom when my children were young, and also building my career. So, basically, like, a lot of women can relate to is just that
doing
grind
both. Yes.
Of doing both. Like, being the mom and trying to be a good wife, and then also like working, this balancing act, right? Yep. So I kind of like struggle through that, got all that done and really climb my way up to success, but now that my kids are a little older, now it's really more about pursuing more passion projects, because now the good thing is that you make good decisions. decisions. You made good investment decisions. You lived below your means. You saved. You invested your money wisely. Now we have this passive income, and now you can kind of do like, so for me, I would probably get more into like passion projects. Like I would probably take more risk. Like I think I would actually be a little bit more of an investor that takes a little bit more risk for bigger returns.
Yeah.
Just because of the fact that I'm not relying on this money to eat.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm not relying on this money to eat. And so therefore I can like take a little bit more risk and maybe buy into like more higher risk projects for higher return. You know what I mean? I might dabble into like actually even investing in office right now, which could be a little bit risky, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just more of that. I think I would take on more risk. Take on more risk for a higher return and to see what happens. And that's the good thing. And I even thought about even like opening a side business, but I would say for investments, I would definitely invest more, but it's more funner projects.
Yeah.
That's what I would do for sure.
I don't know. I think for me, like you said, it's kind of like different stages and phases in your life. Right. And so for me, I have young kids. And so, and I'm in that phase where I'm kind of grinding and like building my portfolio, building my business, and also, being a mother and taking care of my kids. So, and this is very much a plan that I've already thought about, and I'm like in motion to like get to that place where it's like, how much are my monthly expenses? So I can cover them. And it's like, once I get to that point, there's like how much I can cover them for this lifestyle. And then like I said, there's like a next tier for like the next part of the lifestyle.
That's a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But the basic, lifestyle is that I would want to have definitely, more time with my kids.
Right.
Even though we have a very flexible schedule with real estate, I think it would just be nice to wake up and not have to decide, that I'm gonna like work. I want it to be like project based. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this project now, then take some time off. Do this project now, take some time off.
Right.
I think that would be like, and then in the interim, I can spend time with my kids. But my second part to that is I would not want to be completely removed from real estate. So I think in some capacity, I'd want to still be sharing and teaching other people about real estate because it's changed my life so much.
Right.
I can't think of something else that's as rewarding.
Right.
And because I've been able to experience this, it's like I do want to share with other people.
Right, exactly.
So I don't know if that would be like coaching or still being like director or, in what capacity, but like I think I'll always be drawn to real estate for the simple fact that like it's just made such an impact in my life. Right.
But the good thing is that now like, the financial freedom does so much for you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
now I could just share the information.
Yeah, exactly. Which is so great. And I think like a lot of young people who may be thinking about having children or having children, I mean, I would say in my opinion, like the greatest thing was for me to be with my kids. That was like the greatest thing. So when my kids were young, like they were more important than my career. And that's just like my personal choice, right? I just think for me, it's like, had I achieved financial freedom before I had kids, sometimes it's not realistic, especially if you have kids in your 20s or whatever the case is. I mean, I would definitely put them on, on a priority. I want to be with my kids and still be able to have that work life. Then you can kind of achieve the balance. Because again, like you can still work on projects. And passion projects. And then they'll eventually pay out, eventually. But you're not like relying on those things.
Exactly.
You can focus on the things that are most important. And I think like when you have that mindset in mind, like that's like your big why. Like, why am I doing this? If I have a high paying job now, what's going to make me decide, okay, let me save as much as I possibly can versus spending money on that vacation, right? That delayed gratification, right? It's the whole idea of the financial freedom of what you could do, right? Because I also feel like people who are financially free also make higher impact in society sometimes.
Yeah, because I mean, when you're thinking about like the next meal or the next way, you're going to pay for your kids' tuition, or, you got to think about how you're going to pay your rent or your mortgage. Like that's stressful. You can't, like I said, living your passion or give your best work.
Right.
Because it's all dependent on just like really a paycheck.
Right.
And that's too, like I was listening to something the other day that said you can always tell a person's mindset by like how they speak about money. So if someone comes to you and they're like, oh, I work this job, it's paying the bills. Like that's a very poor mindset. Right. Because if you're just working just to pay your bills, like, are you really living?
Right.
You know,
exactly.
Like, how do you, unless you were doing some work, you know,
and let alone be able to, but let alone be able to like think about making huge impact. I have some friends who work in the nonprofit world, and and they're like, barely getting by, and they're broke, but they don't do it for the money. They have like the hugest hearts, and they're making impacts, through the nonprofit work, the volunteer work that they're doing. So I definitely don't want to downgrade the valuable work of all those people that are doing it. But, for the people who aren't in nonprofits and aren't that personality type, like, if you still have a good heart, once you become financially free, then you can really be thinking about, okay, how can I make huge impacts? Because now I don't have to worry about making money. I can just do whatever it is that's passionate and I'm passionate about that can make a big difference, take on bigger risks and bigger projects, and like change the world and do things. So I definitely think that, like being financially free or financially independent, it's not just about just, laying around and,
going to the beach.
I definitely think that now, like, once you become financially free, it's a different stage in your life where you can actually start,
you getting up and going to work because you love what you do.
Right, exactly.
You chose to be there, not because it just pays your bills.
Right, exactly.
And that's a different feeling, I think, when you're not under so much pressure just to show up, just to pay the next monthly expense.
Right.
So and a lot of people don't realize that, honestly, just a few properties can help with that.
Right.
A few investment properties could release some of that, just the financial chokehold that I feel like we all are under.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, as a society.
Right.
And it's like, if you just bought one or two extra properties, it's like when your kid goes to college, boom, there's money. If a health crisis comes up, boom, there's something you can tap into. You all of a sudden decide that you don't want to be at that career and you want to start a business. Boom. Tap into that equity. And I just wish like a lot of younger people would get into real estate investing, earlier, because that's really when you get, if you invest at 22 years old, by the time you're 42, you have 20 years of equity. At 42, you might be thinking of something totally different, like, oh, I don't want to do this, like, I want to do that.
Right.
And now someone's been paying down your mortgage for 20 years.
Right.
And it's like, it feels really scary, and it's a lot of paperwork, and it's a lot of commitment. A lot of people say, well, I just signed a loan, for $500,000. And it's like, yeah, but what is that going to do for you in the future? Because that's like your bank. Right,
exactly. It gives you like so many options.
Yeah.
But I think you bring up a good point. The good point is that, a lot of us think like, okay, you need to jump through leaps and bounds to get there. You really don't. It's actually very simple. I mean, like, I know that, I have like a program that I call like the Power Plus One.
Yes.
Right. And it's like, okay, if all you did was just buy one additional property, right? And then depending on your scenarios, let's say like you're a young married couple and you just had a baby and you already own a house, but all you did was just buy one condo.
Yep.
And you did nothing. You just bought one condo, one additional condo, and you rented out the tenants, let the tenants pay it over a 18-year period.
Yep.
And you did nothing else, okay? So you were focusing on your jobs, your careers, your businesses, your children, whatever. That's all you did. Well, in 18 years, when you have that condo, I mean, how much of a difference that would make for you over 18 years when you think about all the appreciation, the cash flow that you had. By the time that baby turns 18 years, you already have their whole entire college fund paid for.
Right.
Plus maybe then some, right? And then if they had a scholarship and they don't need your money, I mean, then you could really be doing something, right? And this is nothing like out of the ordinary that somebody did. They just like made one good decision a long time
to buy an extra house, extra condo, it doesn't even have to be big.
Right, it doesn't have to even be big.
It's just like, it's something.
Yeah, exactly. But that one decision made such a world of a difference years later. Let's say like 6 years ago, I bought an additional house, or I bought a house and then I bought another house I wanted to move into, but I kept that house.
Yep.
And just kind of kept it as a rental property. And that's all you did. You did nothing else. You weren't doing anything savvy or anything like that. Well, like 6 years later, now you're in a job that you hate. Your boss tells you something ridiculous. And like, you know what? Now you have the power to just give your boss the middle finger and quit that job and then pursue whatever the bike shop or the ice cream shop you always wanted to open and pursue your dreams because you made that one good decision.
Yep.
So it doesn't require like you to have like a whole portfolio of rental properties to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, and I think a lot of people, when they see, some of these gurus getting in and they're buying all these properties and they're doing all this stuff, it just seems so unobtainable.
Right.
But it's like, to make a huge impact in your life, it really just requires a small step.
Correct.
You know?
Correct.
Towards buying that, like you said, one property, maybe two properties.
Right.
You know, for someone to have as an investment. So it's definitely something to consider if you're, you know, thinking about getting into investing and really considering like what you would do if you had an extra property or passive income. And really, I think that's part of it. Like, that's why we brought this up, is it's part of switching your mindset about money and time. And what would you do if you actually had the money and the time?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, don't let the gurus overcomplicate things for you, right? The simpler, the better.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and just get started.
Yeah, just get started. So that's all that really matters, you know? Exactly. Just get started. Make the decision, okay, I want to make the step to get started.
Yep.
And, you know, and see, just buy one additional property. And if that's all that you do, then great. I can tell you that over a long period of time, it's going to make, I mean, you're not going to get rich overnight, but over a long period of time, it's going to make a difference in your life, for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, hope that you enjoyed this episode.
Yes.
Put some perspective and make things a little bit easier. But if you're looking to get started in your real estate investment journey, be sure to check out our website at DiariesRE.com, and we'll connect you with an investment advisor in your particular area.
Yes. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.
Yes. Thank you so much. Bye.